in my business, this is something I would ensure doesn't happen. In my business, these are some of the negatives I need to ensure doesn't get into the space that I'm at. Or
hello?
I lost her as well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if it was me.
So was I. Just actually checked my internet. While she's gone, let me just jump in, and I'm gonna jump in. Go ahead, Matthew.
Matthew. Oh, I'll admit her back.
All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in the meantime. But sorry, Francesca, go ahead. You're back on.
I somehow got bumped off. Right. So not sure what you heard.
And you weren't saying anything controversial, so that's not the reason why you were bumped off.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right.
Well, let me say I was bumped off as well. So you weren't the only one. I was bumped off.
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
Right. So I was just agreeing certainly with what my panelists had just said, Kukuta had said earlier, in that having an opportunity to work in a working environment, even though you may have an entrepreneurial mindset, is very critical to your business, because apart from the networking that is essential and important to have as you grow in terms of your relationship, communication, etc., is that working in this, having this work experience, will now empower you as relates to money management, as relates to customer service, as relates to marketing, because you can glean from this organization the not to do and the to-do list that you'd want to know, take into your personal business to make it a success.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you two different points of views on entrepreneur and an entrepreneurial spirit when you're applying for a job. So in and of itself, I think wanting to be an entrepreneur is exceptional. Remember, I started out by speaking a little bit about research and ensuring that your values, your ambitions, your objectives are aligned to that of the company. Now, there often when you see the job description or the ad, it will say one of the things they're looking for is an entrepreneurial spirit. That's very important. If you're applying, let's say, for lead of a business unit, if they want somebody who is going to sell, go out and be a go-getter, then when they ask that question about that entrepreneurial spirit and disposition, then you should answer within the context of what the job is looking for. And I say that because there are many people who have sat in front of me and they have explained that really the reason they're here is because they really want to own their own business. And so within a year or two, they're going to be going out. Now, come on. If I or the company or the panel has said to you that what they cherish is longevity, they want to have persons, they want to, my humble apologies, they want to have persons who are going to stay with them for long, that's not how you should answer. And so we still are going back to that area of researching, understanding the context and responding within that context. Because if there's a position, I know that you, even if I sense it, that's fine. But if you're clearly saying the reason I am here is because I want to learn and within a year I'm moving on, you just took yourself out of the running. You just took yourself out of the running. So you need to understand the company, the why, and ensure that you're going to position your response in tandem with. So rather than speaking about, that question also comes in when we ask, where do you see yourself in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Yeah. And some people will tell you, and they start telling you that they want to start these businesses, and the business have nothing to do with what you're in or what they're applying for. So you have to be careful. You have to think. And I really encourage persons to practice and do those mock interviews. Do it at school, do it with your teacher, do it with your parents if they're professionals, do it within, practice it so you can see when you answered incorrectly and you can adjust.
May I add to this?
Yeah.
Matthew?
You may, yes, you may, Mrs. Campbell. You've been a little quiet, but that's
Yes,
fine.
I have been. Entrepreneurial mindset. Very good. And I just want to add to that. When persons come on board and say they have this entrepreneurial mindset, just to remember to always keep the values and the attitudes with the organization that you are with. You know, I find that sometimes people come in and they want to do their own thing, and they're trying to do their own thing on company's time. That's dishonest, right? So we need to make it very, very clear, because if you're working for someone, the same values and attitudes that you apply to your job when you're there with that person, I guarantee you it won't change when you start your own business or when you have persons coming in to work for you with those values and attitudes that you displayed to your former employer. Always remember to remain true and honest to the contract that you have with your employer. You know, you come in on time, you do your work, all of those things. Because it's the same discipline that you apply to the job that you have. It's a discipline, it's that same discipline plus more that you would need to go on that entrepreneurship venture. You know, the next thing is the networking, which is good. Join LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the world's largest platform for professionals. Join LinkedIn. Put up your professional picture about yourself, where you're working, your achievements. Put it on LinkedIn. Recruiters recruit from LinkedIn. I know, I was recruited from LinkedIn from one place to the next. People are looking. This is globally, right? Also, if you want from a local standpoint, entrepreneurship, the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, mwah, a lot of people underestimate the value of that institution. I believe you me, they have helped me myself with my entrepreneurship venture with my daughter for the past 5 years. They've been there. They offer training. There are free courses online. They have someone assigned to you. You know, JBDC. They're on Camp Road. Call them, check them. They do have the facilities, and I believe that service is underutilized, you know, from an entrepreneurial point of view, because persons don't really know and venture about it. So that's my input.
And if I quickly can just, and I promise I won't be long, as it relates to you working, I like the point that Sophia Campbell made as it relates to when you come into an organization and the very behavior, attitude, mindset that you have on the job is what, when you go into your own personal business, it shows itself. And I can tell you, I mean, ladies, we are here, and even our male counterpart, is that we can even look at our plumbers, we can look at our hairdressers, we can look at our nail tech. Sometimes they do the nails very well. Sometimes they're I mean, you know, the very pointed drawings or whatever on the hairstyle.
Yeah, the styles and all of that.
Dude, once you go and sit with them for a while to do your nails. You say, I am not sitting with this person ever again for an hour and a half. Oh my God, I felt sick. And sometimes it's not that they're telling you anything bad, but just in the present and in the space of this individual, even when calls come in for them in person, or they talk and how they behave, or they chew their mouth, and persons who come to look at them over your head while your hair is being done, so I like that point that you raised, and I just wanted to elaborate on it. And I see Dr. Ashley laughing again. Dr. Ashley, don't do that to me, man. You turn a senior, and Miss Sophia, you're adding to the team. Students, don't pay them any mind. They do this to me all the time. But
It's because you're being so truthful. It's because you're being so truthful.
We're talking about recruitment. So of course you guys are going to tell the truth. I mean, come on. We can pretty it up all we want, but at the end of the day, we have to be truthful, whether it's pretty or not. Straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing that she spoke to as well. When you go to the interview, please be neutral. It's not the place for the long nails and too much excitement. Yeah. You should also be very neutral. Again, you do not know who you're gonna see in that interview room. Yeah.
I just have one last thing to add, which I wrote and I didn't say about the entrepreneurial mindset, is to find a mentor. Find a mentor. It's very important. Sit at somebody's feet. I mean, literally, you can search out people. I do that. I'm very bold when it comes down to that. No matter what point in my career I'm at, I'm finding a mentor, to help to guide. And one of the most what do you call it now? I need a word. The transition at Grace, if you watched it, the transition of Grace from Douglas O'Reilly to Don Webby was very, very clean and crisp. If you realize that he was mentoring Don Webby for years, there was no doubt in terms of, I think it was probably a good amount of years. I've been watching both of them. You need a mentor, to guide you, to lead you, what to do, what not to do. Learn a lot from that. Entrepreneurship is not a one man an island where you operate on your own. So find that mentor that have the same values and attitudes you have in the business sector. It helps a lot.
Yeah.
All right, very well said there. Mr. Kidd, okay, he says, thank you, very noted. All right. All right, so we have been started until 4. I think I want to touch again on the whole point of values, value alignment. How do candidates add value? And I also want this to segue into how do candidates know or determine what they want? And also, I expect this to segue into the whole thing I'm talking about company culture and that sort of thing. So I open the floor once again to our panelists to speak on what I've just thrown out here.
Yeah. I love that area of company culture. It's I'm going to say it's a new and emerging field. Maybe the last 10, 15 years, a lot of people have been focusing a lot more on the culture and now having internal director of culture beyond the cultural ambassador. And one of the reasons for that is that if the recruiters aren't careful as they select their team, then the organization will now have the persona of whatever that strongest personality is. And one of the things you learn is that it's the negativity that carries the easiest. And so you have to focus on ensuring that positive is going to emanate throughout the organization. So again, if we go back and look on how you're going to know that it's the right company that you're applying to, don't just apply to a company because your friend applying to it or because everybody talks about it. You need to make sure that you have, and sorry, I know Matthew didn't ask us to say this, but don't send out these bulk emails that are addressed to nobody and it is just dear sir, madam, any job that you have, I would like to take it. Like we passed that. You know what I mean? I was applying for a job 30 years ago and it was not acceptable then. It's definitely not acceptable now. But just to go back though to the culture. So understand what the culture of the organization is. Does it fit into what you see yourself doing? So there's some, and let me choose the marketing side of my life, the creative side. There are some persons who cannot work in an environment with jacket and tie or shirt and tie. It is not natural to them. They do not, they just can't be creative because they need the vibe and they need to have the little music, they need to have the plants, they need to have the color, etc. Yet there are others who need to have that neutrality and that level of professionalism. Now you need to know, because your job is not to go into the people office to try to change it, right? You need to understand some of those basics. Do they have open office? So I will tell you, for me, that for me is a no-no from day one. I know I do not work well in open spaces where the person beside me is talking and can't focus, etc. That is baseline research, right? So understand baseline of what is within the organization, and then how does that kind of match back to you. One of the jobs that I would tell you I did and loved, the only and the biggest argument I had with my boss was that I, in his opinion, was not disciplined enough to stop working when I needed to stop working, which is a fact. But their company culture said work-life balance is the most important thing. And so you must, if you have to work so much overtime, it is saying to them that you're not managing your time well and that they are not managing the employee well. So you got, in some companies that is respected, praised, you're getting your promotion, but there are others that don't like that. Those to me are small things that we don't expect. You know, I said, Dan, that's what people love about me. He's like, yeah, but no, it doesn't work in the environment. You need to rest, because if you're not rested, you can't give your best. Yeah. So I think as we're talking about culture, there are just so many different ambits and thoughts that we have, and it becomes important that you know what works for you and your personality, because I honestly believe that when you have the right fit, the right value system, the right match, it becomes effortless on both sides. And I put effortless in quotes, but on both sides, it becomes that good match.
Dr. Asher, the value system you speak of, as you made the example of persons, and in your particular case, you just couldn't stop working. Yeah, you were just going like a workaholic, just couldn't stop.
Yes, love the work and bad habits.
Yeah, and you see, understanding students, the company you're working with, and some things you're not going to be able to know from the outside until you get in. But once you get there, learn quickly, catch it fast, because in some instances, you work in some organization and there is seemingly a prize not to take vacation. Oh, I've worked here for 5 years and I've never taken a vacation, and I've never been this and I've never been. And so there's this whole lot of, accolades because you're there. But you, in some other workspace, and in particular those that I've worked, I see it as a problem, because sometimes the person are not going out because of insecurity. It's not so much that, and because they want to be seen as they are needed and that they are doing so much. So just to throw that in a little bit for you as student, once you're not going to learn everything about the organization from an external, but once you get in, sometimes I see person, and again, I might get into trouble. You go into an open office space, right? And just this little, especially with COVID and protocols, this time, you only have these little glass see-through things that make the difference. And then you're going with your wedding picture, your birthday pictures, and you're pasting it up there. Look around. Mr. Matt, you're not speaking anymore.
No. What happened to be truthful? We're talking truth.
Isn't that so true, though, that they really come sometimes into the workplace and, your mother says, so you dance abroad? Yeah? Sometimes they really do come into the workplace and the same thing that they would do at home is the same thing that they think is fine in the workplace, because they were taught in school that they must be comfortable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this big wedding picture and everything, the 3 children, sitting around the table. And I mean,
The
look,
vase and the false flowers.
yes, just look, pick up the cues. You're going to
Yes.
an office and you don't see any flowers, the place is dry and dead. Person saying, I don't want it too comfortable because I don't want you to think I'm gonna stay forever. And pick up these nuances, because in terms of the culture, many times it's not what is said. It's not what is written on the wall. On the wall is the mission, the vision, the this, and yes, my family enter the lobby, and this is the company I want to be in. But I can tell you, and Sir Youth, and you can beat me up. There's some companies I won't work for. I won't. I just won't, because on the outside, and that's why I come back again. If you realize we keep going to research, is because there are a lot of things that are portrayed positively in the corporate space, but once you get in the big, how much millions the companies make, and I'm not talking any of the companies that we work for, so please. All this profit sharing, I don't want to get anybody into trouble now. All this profit sharing, all these stock and shares and whatever, and the people in the company are dying, but then you say you want to work there as a student, and when you bob your ear and you're going, yes, I'm gonna make it. But the truth is that you have not realized the culture, the value system is sometimes different from what is on paper, different from the unspoken language that is there. So the door is wide open, but you never dare step in.
Yeah.
It's for argument's sake, my door is wide open. You step in, some companies, we have an open door policy. You can just walk in. It's not true. Because even when the door is open, just the look when you get at the door is like, you're an intruder. Don't come here. Yeah. Over back to you.
But you see, that's one of the things I think you really have to understand about the organization, because what we must respect as employees is that we are here to help the company to meet its goals, not the other way around. The company's obligation and the reason the company is making us happy and all that beautiful thing is so that we can help them towards their goals. And we must be very clear on that. So I'll tell you, for example, so there are some organizations that when you go in, you see very high-end art. That's not the place, as you said, that you're going to go in with your picture that you paste on the wall. They are saying to you, therefore, that this is what my clientele appreciates. And so they're trying to find people who are able to serve that clientele. And often you find that employees come in and they aren't happy and they feel that, oh, well, listen, your job is supposed to make me happy. No, that's not how it goes. It goes the other way around. And that's why I honestly believe that the fit needs to be right to start. Because then if the value systems are aligned, if the attitudes and behaviors are aligned, then you don't have those challenges, yeah? If the aspiration of the employee is in line with that of the company or the clientele that they select to serve, then it means that everything is going to be nicely aligned. I will tell you, I go in and I set up companies and I will purposefully make the place extremely cold because I want you to want to keep on your jacket and tie. I'm telling you, those are baseline things that are done. We have a certain look and feel for the furniture because I don't want you to relax and palav. But then there are other places, and there are other places now that would either one, invest in, like where Uton is, they might invest in having a creative room or lounge for the staff, etc. That's where you go to relax, right? Or it is a very creative environment. You know, I went to Apple the other day and I just had to smile. I'm like, these people are just the best. They have us sitting on a wooden box, but because the atmosphere and the culture is supposed to be all inclusive and relaxed and everything goes, but still very quiet. They have everything at a certain tone. It is your being able to go in and understand what is and the direction And I think really you must understand the clients or the customers that you serve. If the customers want party and fit and vibes,
Give them the party fit and vibes.
exactly. Yeah. Can you imagine going into the bank and seeing some of those things?
Oh dear.
It's not what the expectation is.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I like to add, thank you, Dr. Ashley. I just wanted to add to that. We forget, we believe that the job makes us. No, you make your job what it is.
Yeah.
You make your job what it is. And so instead of coming with that expectation, that the company is gonna set you up and train you and all of that, you make your job what it is. You put the best into it, you definitely get the best out of it. When people see that you're putting in the work and actually supporting the business by supporting your manager, and it is so regularly practiced that if I don't like my manager, or if we don't get along or whatever, the work is the work, right? Support your manager all the way, even when you're leaving. Good evening, is there anything else you want me to assist you with? It goes a long way. You can have I can employ somebody for the front desk and she leaves and somebody else and I get a different result. So you bring your uniqueness, you bring your competence, you bring your value to the table. And I believe that would be the word.
Sophia, that is when we talk about hiring for attitude. Yeah, if they have that right attitude, because again, I'm sure all of us on the panel, we've worked with people who you say, how them get that post this and how them keep the post.
Every
But
day.
I'm telling you something, the longer that I work and the more I go into organizations to help them to restructure, the more I get it. What you're looking for is someone who can support you. That's what your manager and your director is looking for. Because you can find other people with the technical competence, but the person that you want is that this is the objective and they're going to do whatever. And I will tell you, there's one of my mentees from UTech that sometimes people come into the company and listen, they complain. Oh, he does this wrong, he does that. But I'm telling you something, at 7 o'clock in the night, when my crazy clients call with some ungodly crisis that is very unreasonable, I have no doubt that when I pick up the phone and I call and I say, this is what we got to do, I'm going to get a positive attitude. What do you need me to do? Have you done it? Okay, here is the plan. I know the next day I'm going to get, did we do this? Did we do that? And because of that can do, I am here to help you to be successful. If he's tired, I'm not going to get a complaint of tired. It is, listen, I'm going to take a couple of hours with that positive attitude. Is that okay? I'm going to come back at this time. It is not a fuss, yeah? And because of that can-do attitude, I want to help the company and my team to be successful. I'm going to tell you, he goes a far way. And I will honestly tell you, it is not about the attitude, because we can teach that. And so we continue to teach that. But that attitude, when you're under stress, you don't want your staff stressing you.
Yeah.
You already know everything that went wrong. So having 10 people being miserable on top of your misery is not helping the objective. Yeah. So the attitude, I think, Sophia, that is such a key point, and people don't understand it. We get all into our emotions when we start into that job, right? And it's sometimes what holds us down from going to the next level.
And as a recruiter, and in the more generalist space, the truth of the matter is you are, and let us be fair and be honest and be open. And I know we are being taped and recorded, and that is good. But it must be also that we put on the table that we have seen, and personally I have seen over the years, not only in workspaces that I'm familiar with, but even my other colleagues would share with me, that there are students on just situations that are melted out with individuals working in the offices, corporate or private or whatever places that they're working, that is not fair and is not a lack of giving support to their superior. And they are, and many times, unfortunately, those support that has been given is heaped on the authority or the supervisor or manager or the director, and they take it for themselves. And then when something goes wrong in the department, or everything that is negative, it is thrown on this particular individual who, as you have said, Dr. Ashley, this person at 7 o'clock in the night will be there, but you are the one in the face, you are the one getting everything, you are the one getting the bonus, you are the one getting the perks, and God bless if this person or these persons are getting anything. So there are truth to it. But however, I want to quickly point out that the truth is that when you sow good seeds as a worker, contributing consistently, it might not be that that particular company will recognize you, but you also need to understand that you yourself have been trained to deal with issues and crisis situation that will gonna make you, when you get a promotion, not necessarily there, when you leave there. Because sometimes we believe that we have to be in this company to be the best in terms of growth to the highest level. But right there, you may be suffering under Uton getting all the perks, and I'm troubling him now, and going into the board meetings, is being all the directors that
Take what is due to you, Uton.
Under pressure.
They're saying that Uton is the best thing that's ever touched Digicel, and we need to duplicate
Yes,
more
really?
on Uton. But the truth of the fact is that there was Sophie and Matthew that is doing the work, and all Uton have it.
Francesco, I hear you and I agree and disagree. You know why?
Yeah.
I do think you must focus on what you are bringing to the table. You did this wrong. And sometimes I tell you something, your boss is a human. Your boss have a boss, and everybody's a human. So maybe just because of how Uton said something and not the what, it rubbed me the wrong way. And Uton can't get through to me, but Francesca could get through to me. Does that therefore mean that Uton is to just give up? And therefore, who is he impacting negatively? You're impacting yourself. And so really what has to happen is that each of us must be very clear on our personal goals and objectives. What do I want? What is that attitude and what is that persona that I need to have in order to reach success? What I define as success, not what anybody else defines as success. Right. So if it is that Uton, for example, is feeling slighted, listen to me. But when I say so, she never acknowledged. So why it's so special when a Francisco said? Then he needs to, therefore, there are different ways. And all of us know there are several ways to skin a cat. But he has to still maintain whatever his personal vision is, still remain excellent, because when him done give me bad attitude and gone to work with Matthew called me. I said, Charlene, what do you think about Uton? I said, well, listen, Uton was good, you know, but listen, that attitude, you're going to spend about 50% of him time in going to spend in HR. Pure attitude I'm going to give you. You don't want him, right? So therefore, what picture do I want to, professional picture do I want to paint of myself? I can tell you, I've worked with the most difficult human beings. I'm sure several of us say that, but again, for my career, right, I always get these projects that were in lots of problems. And then, you know, how do you therefore maneuver that? And as young people, how do you figure out, how am I going to get success? And I think if they keep that, and every time there's something negative, or Sophia said something earlier, she spoke about having a mentor. Don't take it lightly. That person who, when you have all of these asterisk signs that you want to say in your mind, you can call, and that person is going to be able to say to you, look on it this way. This is the reason that they might have looked on it that way. Perhaps if you approach it that way, or yeah, them wrong, but it's okay. Just to have that sounding board, believe me, in your professional life is significant, no matter whether you have 1 day experience or 600 years experience. Yeah.
Perfectly.
But I
Perfectly.
do think that positive mental attitude, it gets you through very rough times in the workplace.
In every rough time.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to come back to in concluding the statement I was making. In that, so in the present workspace that you're at, you may be contributing to youth and looking, so to speak, successful in the eyes of others, but you are also being groomed to bring out the best in yourself. And then you, even though you're working under youth and so to speak, you yourself are gaining leverages of how to approach business, projects, making proper analysis and reports that at the end of the day, because I must say, and if we're going to be honest, and you just said it, Dr. Ashley, I have worked with individuals in my young time working that I thought were very difficult.
Yeah.
But the older I got, I realized it was for my good. Because being subjective, and we talk about humility before, and it is not just about where you're at here and now. It is where it is that you're going to be 5, 6, 10, 20 years, the characteristics that you're going to be developing, that is going to be coming out naturally when you come across difficult situations, different personalities, different methods and way of dealing with things. That is how now you are going to be able to shine and be your best self. Because these same person that in light of where you're at now may think that, you may think that Sophie is just a difficult person, Matthews is hard to work with. Give them of your best always, not and especially when they are not looking.
And Francisca, and again, the other people on the panel, I don't know if you have this experience, but a lot of those persons that you thought were difficult working with, or maybe you didn't get on with, they're the same people who are your biggest cheerleaders because of how you dealt with them. I have had so many of those persons who they give me references, they're calling for this, they ask me to sit on their board, and you go, but really? But what they're looking at is, how did you deal with difficult situations? What attitude did you have? How did you support? Did you help me along the journey to being satisfied towards reaching the company's goals or their particular goals? And in doing one, you kind of reach to the other.
So I just wanted to, I'm totally aligned with what the rest of the panelists are saying. I just want to make a point that it's nothing new that companies hire for either it be culture fit or job fit. It all depends on what they're looking for in that moment to fill that gap. And it all depends on what trumps what. Is it important that we find somebody who fits within the culture of the organization? Or is it that we need to get someone in the role who will get the job done? So, it comes back again to research, finding out where you're going to be working, who you're going to be working, and what is the culture, what is covert and overt they said about the company, what is their mantra, what is valuable to them, is it also valuable to me? And also it's important to know that we are in control of your own growth and development. Company is not obligated to say, okay, all right, we need to send you out on this training or whatever the situation is. It's a benefit, it's not a right. And people might say, but this company offers this and this company doesn't. To each his own. So you have to ensure what is valuable to you. Again, you are in control of your own growth and development. So whatever it is that you are pursuing, do so radically and do so relentlessly. Because at the end of the day, it's what you are able to live with. A company might offer you this, but when you weigh the pros and cons, it's worth it for you. Being in a particular environment with a company, is all of that worth it? You're there for an average 9 hours per day. Is it worth it? So you have to weigh the pros and cons of all these things, ensure that you are making a decision that is mutually
beneficial. And
Yep.
you, John,
Oh, sorry.
worth is different to each person. You know, so some people, is it worth it might be dollars and cents, and
Yep.
some people might be peace of mind, some people might be the perks. So you really have to pause and know what is important to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
can I just share something here? Just to add, um, trying to remember the year, I won't remember the year, but some time ago, I was working with an organization in the position of an admin assistant. Now, I've been an admin assistant for many years in my career, supporting CEOs, etc. And one day, my HR manager came and said to me, I hear them talking about you in the management meeting. I'm like, oh, me? Me? And say, yes, that's what's it about? So he was telling me that they were looking for someone to be they were taking on the ISO, so they were looking for someone to be their quality manager and somebody to train in Trinidad. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm an admin assistant. I mean, I don't know why they're looking at me. And he said they were looking at your work ethic, how you got along with the people, how you did your work, etc. And at the end of the day, they selected me. They didn't select a manager and executive. They selected me to go to Trinidad to work for 2 weeks, to come back and train the management team on a quality management system as a administrative assistant. And that was a big learning lesson, for me. So, people will see your work. The value is
Yes.
in your work and what
Yes.
you do. I'm getting goosebumps about it because every time I remember it, it was like, it could have picked anybody senior on the team. But then, your position does not determine, your promotion. The position that you should always have is that I'm here to work and I give it my very best shot. Your people, I said, it's not who you know, it's who know you. It's people are seeing you. They're seeing your work, even though you might not know it because I didn't know it at the time. So always put your best, your best foot forward because people are actually seeing and the value of the work that you put. So I just wanted to share
That is,
that.
that is a perfect example of let your work speak for you.
And that was
Let the
exactly,
quality of your work speak
yes,
for you.
and
You don't need nothing else. You don't need no other validation. Just
very
let
much.
your work speak for you.
And I want to add quickly, because as Sophia was speaking, I think just the same thing. Let your work speak for you. And I also would like to say to the students, even that example that Sophia gave, is that as an HR practitioner, I personally have been into business places, and just the service I've gotten over a period of time, I had headhunt for those persons to take them to my company.
I do that.
We all
Just
do that.
because
I do that.
Let me tell you, guys, I do business with JMMB, right? And JMMB has a security officer that he used to work at Hawkeye, and he's always in the Hawkeye shirt, and he's doing his work. He's logging you in, and and one day I went and I saw that security officer no longer in a Hawkeye shirt. He was in a JMMB shirt, and I look at him and I
Nice.
say,
I love it.
wait, let me take you a man. He say, yes, I know, permanent here now. I kid you not.
Nice.
They
Nice.
recruited
Nice.
security officer from Hawkeye.
Wow.
Be at their front desk. That guy have been there. I can tell he's been there for at least 10 years. I do my business at JMB. I know the people there. They took the security officer. And I tell you, he's always on par. See, customer service, even if you're out there waiting, it would say, oh, Mrs. So-and-so, welcome to your doctor. And she would see, he's clean, he's crisp. Him just always on point. And I can see now, I say, I know why they took him, because their values and their value of love and how they treat the customers. He was just exemplary with it. Even though he was not a permanent employee, he was a contract person at Hawkeye. He's now a permanent member of staff at JMB.
And Sophie, you know what that's saying? That while you think nobody's watching you, people are observing. You are creating your reputation and your personal brand, right?
Yes.
In every single thing that you do. We have a question here in the group that's asking, how would the situation be treated where a person meets some requirements but has to learn others and work on technical requirements? Would that be a definite no-no?
It's not a
But
no-no at all. Once the person is trainable, and in terms, even especially in you talk about maintenance, especially in a manufacturing industry, I mean, there's always the more senior persons that will do the training. And one of the things that we are, I mean, most manufacturing, if I can say most and not all, is that we are particular, especially in terms of the technical skills, because some of those skills are hard to find depending on the type of business, manufacturing business you are into. So certainly that is not a no-no, because you can be so groomed to be able to come now to be even a more senior. And we have had many of those in many of the companies right across.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, all of us here on the panel, we didn't start here. We've been doing it over the years. My first job, I was so underqualified. It was sad, you know, like they wanted someone with a master's degree. But when I looked at the job description, I said, I can do that job. I only had my diploma, but I put on my suit. I bought my briefcase because I said the boss might see me, right? And I had nothing in the briefcase except the resume I was dropping off. But it was the attitude. I got into the interview because they saw me dropping off the resume and looking professional. And then I got the job because I performed in the interview. But you see, a lot of companies, they're hiring, as you say, are you trainable? They're hiring for the attitude. Is there going to be that right fit? Is this the person that is going to stay with us and can help us? And will they contribute to our organization? So I think you should focus on what you have, focus on that job, be clear on where you need, right? So because the companies always want persons who also invest in themselves. So you do want to show the company that I will invest in myself. I am willing to learn. And that self-investment comes in very different ways for different people. But I am willing to learn. I'm willing to learn these additional skills that are needed, and probably even want to learn a little bit more than that as well, right? Different companies, Grace, I think was referred earlier, they have a policy where they shift all their senior team members from finance to foods, from foods to, so it means that you have to have skill sets that are transferable. So don't think that the person who worked in finance had the technical skill sets that were needed for foods. No, they had the baseline competencies. And I would really invite the room to look up that term and start to understanding that baseline competencies. A lot of companies are moving more and more to hiring for competencies, and they have different skill sets that they're looking for. The qualification, again, you can see how many of you are graduating every year, right? So the qualification almost becomes the easier part of the task. But look up and start to understand. And I think it will also give you a greater level of understanding of what organizations are looking for as we move forward.
so quite frankly, I don't think there's a solid yes or no to the question. It all depends on the timing in a lot of cases. So let's say, for example, this job requires some technical skills that the candidate must have for the job. It could also mean that the company also don't have the bandwidth, depending on if the environment is fast-paced and they need somebody right now to hit the ball, hit the ground running. So it all depends on the timing and the industry in which you are trying to get into. But to Dr. Ashley's point, that once you demonstrate that you are investing in you, it shows the employer that this is someone whose attitude is really invested in the career path that they want to go, and they're willing to do the needful in terms of getting up to the point that they need to occupy the role. But it comes again to the timing. You might apply for the role, you have the right skills, attitude, the technicalities of in terms of the competencies might not be there, but and sometimes when a recruiter says no, it could also be a blessing.
It's a blessing, yes. Very
Um,
true.
so don't doubt yourself for a second, not thinking that you're not worthy of the role or not worthy to be employed. If a company tells you no, it could be a not right now. The timing might be, let's wait a few weeks, let's wait a few months. But
And
it's not
sometimes
that
even
you are
a
not
year.
worth it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not worthy of it. But it all boils down to a lot of factors, but you just have to put in the work. It won't be handed to you on a silver platter. Though sometimes life has a way of working things out that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Uton, as you say that, one other point I'd like to add, which is not really answering the question, but just as a little bit of a segue, is never lie on your resume. If you
Never.
don't have the skill sets, don't put it for qualification, don't put it for skill sets, don't lie on your resume. Nevertheless, as you're writing your resume, you must know the keywords. You must know the things that are critical to your job. So a lot of companies know it's not even a human being that is going through these resumes, right? It's a computer. And so if you didn't put in some of the baseline things accurately, you're not going to be shortlisted. Yeah. I've been working with a number of students and they're like, well, I sent out all these resumes, but I'm not getting called. And there can be a variety of reasons, but one of those reasons very often is how you frame, phrase, and the words that you used within the resume.
People just send out resumes, the same application letter for different jobs the same way, mass producing
Yes.
things and not using the specificities of the role to get the job.
Yes.
And it doesn't work like that. Nobody's looking for mass produced things. Nobody, we have that time. So it's so crazy. You're doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
A
It's
different
kind of
result.
not
Yeah.
giving what you're supposed to give.
Yeah.
So you have to just be resolute in that way. And then, yeah,
Yeah. And that
you
thing
have
of
to be
just sending out this,
purposeful with these things. The
I like
same
that
resume
word.
is not going to give you,
Yeah.
you have to, yeah.
Uton, that thing of sending out the same resumes though already tells the potential company, I don't have the time to be very detailed. I
And
don't
if you
have the
do
time.
have the time for you, who's going to have the time for you?
Exactly.
Who's going to have the time?
Yeah.
Certainly won't be me, because I don't care about years of experience. I don't care about accolades. I care about competence and passion.
Yeah.
And once you're able to demonstrate those things to me, it's good in my book.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Matthew.
I won't say anything because I realize time is fast going, so I'm quiet on this one.
And we can do this for another hour, right?
Right?
Well, to be honest, I feel as if the discussion is not done. So I'm obliged to let it run. I actually am going to dip out a little bit. Because I actually have a 4 to 5 session with some students. But since the discussion is not done, I'll let it run as long as you guys are able to.
I put my foot in my mouth. I'm so sorry, panel. I'm so sorry.
No.
I see where Derby said thanks you guys for the answer so far. If it is that, just in closing, I just want to say to the students, be very intentional. First of all, you need to know who you are, know yourself,
Yes.
know who you are, know what it is that, unfortunately, some of you have studied in areas that your parents have told you to study. You are literally pushed, and you're literally pushed in this particular direction. I must tell you, for those of you who are on the platform, don't be discouraged, because yes, you're going to be graduating, and yes, you're happy that you have, but this is really not your passion. And if you're on this platform or hearing it at another time, when you're watching, book upon it at some point, just to encourage you not to be discouraged, because also what I find in the workspace is that you also have persons who have studied in particular areas with different skill sets who are not even working in that area and have never. You have persons who studied tourism and has never ever been able to work in that particular area, or into engineering and they're admin directors and stuff, or even becoming general manager. But because they had studied in a particular area, it add value to their experience in terms and their qualification. So if you are those students and that would be watching, don't get discouraged, keep on pressing on. And for those of you who have studied your passion, graduating with that, and you feel like, okay, you can run over the mountain, jump over the walls, that is good, that is great. And it's always good to be working in an area that, so that you don't get burned out in something that you're passionate about, so that even when you're stretched beyond, you can still put in that extra. You can still go get a 3-hour sleep and roll again, because guess what? This is who I am. This is in my blood. This is what I'm born to do. And if you have not come to a place where you know what your purpose is, and students, don't get again discouraged because you are still here and you don't know what your purpose is. I can tell you there are 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds who still don't have not, and who are doing success, who have been successful in business and in their own space, by the house, the car, and whatever, and still have not been able to touch that area to say, okay, is this really my purpose? And I know, I hope that kind of work as to what is your purpose, what are your gifts. I'm not gonna go there too much, but just to say, be intentional, love you, love yourself, man. Love your eyes, love your nose, love every part of you. However big the nose is, however, I give you a little joke. When I was younger, I had, man, I had my front tooth were just up there, and they used to call me Bunny Rabbit, but now I have grown into it, so it comes in nice and fits in well, so I can smile. And they said the forehead was, having, and I used to butt the forehead, so that kind of a thing, cocoa, and it big already, and so you comb the hair and cover it because you get so much of it. And it is so big the heads because the brain, the bigger the brain. So
wait, so it was your brain. I love it.
Great.
Love you, just
Perspective, yes.
Where you accept you're short, your legs not as tall as the other person, your nose not as, come on. Love you. Thank God for how He has made you, who He has created you. Appreciate it, accept it. If it is that now you have some other underlying anger and resentment, that those are the things now that you need not to love. Those are the things that now you need to get the help, the coaching, the assistance now to bring you out of the anger, bring you out of feeling depressed so often. Because as young people, you are so exposed. Many of our young people, recruiters on this platform, many of them are so depressed, so anxious, so nervous. They're getting panic attack every day, because of what with the COVID and what it is that they wanted to have achieved, and not being able to go overseas to work, not able to get the US dollars, not able to get as much job experience even in Jamaica. So it's a whole lot, students, but I encourage you to be focused, be intentional, and to just keep on pressing. You are loved, you are special, and I always say there's no one like you, no one quite like you, and you are a success. You are winners. Your mother never tell you, your father never tell you, your auntie never tell you, the lecturer look on you funny and square and say you're not going to be anything, but you are more than special. Bless you. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I'm out.
Just to add to that, Miss Allison, it's so important that, passion is very important. And there's a saying, once you're doing something that you love and passionate about, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
But it's also important not to be one-dimensional.
Mhm.
It's important to be well-rounded, to explore things that you don't think you might be strong at, but it's also important to get that exposure and to really try it, and take on new challenges, and that's how you grow. Growth And upward mobility doesn't come from, being okay, complacent, or
Yeah.
I'm comfortable here. Yeah, there's no growth in comfort. You have to push yourself a bit. You have to, you know, go beyond yourself and get out of yourself sometimes and just get to it. Um, Life doesn't happen in a vacuum. So neither should you confine yourself to a box or a vacuum to say, "Oh, I'm this." You are so much more than that. If you just tap into those little things that you'd be like, not so sure. But if you just
Yeah.
try it out a bit, you see
Yeah.
how much value it brings to your own development and growth. And I mean, when a road might be looking for something, and you and a candidate are the same qualities, same everything, what you think is going to be able to separate you from that candidate? It might not be that
Yeah.
one thing that you did back in the day, or something that you tried, and after all, it's not so bad, but you gave yourself that permission to explore it and find out what it's about. And that's how you'll add value to your career and not be one dimensional.
Yeah.
I mean, as HR practitioners, there are so many changes happening locally and globally. Can't be too complacent, because I mean, the labor laws change so often globally, and so important. Any field that you're venturing into, be a part of the different associations. That's how you build your network. There's so many times I talk about network. It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
But you have to align yourself with people. And, Sophia mentioned about um, mentorship. It's so important to find you a mentor, someone who is going to be able to bring you to the next level. It's so much. And as recruiters, we must be cognizant that when we're hiring people, we're not just hiring the person who's a professional, we're hiring the person in their entirety, um, good, bad, and indifferent. So we have to be very mindful of that. I mean, we're living in an age, who would have thought that, we could do things remotely? COVID certainly showed us that we can do a lot of things that we have to do the brick and mortar thing, and we have to do this way. There's so many different ways that we can explore to get things done, and that's the important thing, is getting things done, and do it in a way that the quality of your work sets the tone and set the expectation of um, whatever industry that you want to go into, or whatever employer you want to work for, or if you want to be an entrepreneur. The quality of your work is what is going to separate you from your competitors. So go out there, be bold, be bad about it. Stay in your bag, and just get to your own, and just live your full potential, because you are worthy of it. So just go there and be a badass about
Love it.
Spoken like a true realist there. Mr.
it.
Campbell, any final thoughts before we close out?
We're barely hearing you, Matthew.
Jam mute.
I think he was asking about if you have the final word, Sophia.
Oh, I just add my final words. Thank you for having me on this on this panel. To our young people, remember that your values and attitudes are the foundation. That's what you take everywhere that you go. Your uniqueness, that's what you take with you as well. The impact that you make, no one else can make it. Make your dinosaur steps. I call them dinosaur. They're big steps when you are in an organization, and when you are leaving. The same level of grace and humility that you enter, the same level of grace that you must exit. Um, have your mentor, and just show up and dress up and do your best. That's my input.
Right, well said there. Am I being heard? Just confirming.
We're hearing you now. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. It's a shame that we have to close this discussion out.
So just before
I
you
really-
close, Matthew,
Oh,
just
I
before
think
you close,
Dr.
Yeah.
Ashley.
just before you close, let me just let me just share just my final thoughts. Thank you, Utanis, because we
Oh.
trouble you so much. See, positives. But I like that closing message of passion and believing in yourself, investing in yourself. Understand that investing in yourself doesn't mean that you invest and be selfish, but it means you are aware of your surroundings, you're aware of your co-workers, you're aware of your company, and indeed the person that you report to. And life isn't easy. Do not quit the first time. Life is hard and it's okay. It is all the errors that you're going to make that you're going to learn from, relish them. It is not about falling down. It's about how you get up and just continue pushing on. Everybody, and the largest, hugest, the biggest leader in the world, they've had many, many, many steps that they've faltered. So it is okay. Just learn from it. Practice, practice, and practice a little bit more. Get that mentor, as they're saying. If you're in a job, you're not loving it, don't resign the job. Give it a chance while you're looking for what you love. If you understand yourself and understand your passion, and it's a long road, Some of us just reach middle age and we're just understanding ourselves. So it is okay. We do, and as time passes, there is this rush to be successful. By 20, I need to do this, and by 25, I need to do this, and we feel like we're failed if we haven't. It's okay. If you're going to live to 80 or 100, realize that when you reach 40 and 50, you're just about start living your life. Take your time and do it as you know. You are successful if you enjoy what you're doing. And I tell everybody, I'm successful because I understand what is important to me and to my family. And so to me, that is success. As I said, it turns into bad habits. So I might not remember sometimes how long I'm working, right? But it's because I love what I do. And so find what your passion is. It will not feel very stressful. Ask around, network, ask other people what they think, and execute every day. Do your best, always, no matter what. Excellence, but you have that confidence and you balance that with humility. Research and read. Read. Research and practice a little bit more on top of all of that. But I think that the major thing in just being successful as an individual and in your career is understanding yourself, understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. You're going to play to your strengths while you continue to try to build on those weaknesses or those areas of opportunities, right? Just you have to understand yourself, love yourself, and keep on making the steps, right? And be willing to go the long distance. Those are the people who are going to make it to whatever their level of success is. And don't let anybody else define that for you. Not your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. You must know what your success is and enjoy that. Thank you very, very much for having me a part of this team.
You are most welcome. And thank you, Dr. Ashley. Thank you to our panelists. We are a little well spent. So unfortunately, I am a bit ambivalent about wrapping this up, but until another time, hopefully all being well. Thanks again to my panelists, Dr. Charlene Ashley, Ms. Francisca Anderson, Mrs. Sophia Campbell, and the thorn among the roses, as I'm very often called to, Mr. Yutan Vassal. Thank you guys, it's been fun, and I'm hoping we can do another installment of this. And based on what I've seen in the chat, the students were engaged and the students loved the session. So let's hope we can have another installment. So thank you guys. And just a reminder to our students, if you haven't already, the register and evaluation are posted in the chat. Please sign and evaluate the session before you leave. All right. So if there are no other further questions or final thoughts, we're done.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
No more laughing.
Thanks, everyone. All right, take care.
Say to you,
Bye,
Mr.
guys.
Campbell.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.